Andrew, one of your past lives within this life as Andrew, you did energy or house cleaning or ghost busting or whatever you want to call it. Uh, can you tell everybody about one of your experiences on this spooky Halloween as we get closer to the 31st of October?
Ghostbusting. Yes, I had a very good friend out in Edmonton years ago, a lovely lady. And she asked me at one point to go ghostbusting with her. And she did this. And it's ritual. It's smudging, it's prayer, it's meditation in that environment. And it was quite extraordinary. Two things come to mind in particular. One was just a townhouse, just a normal everyday townhouse. And her name was Sandra, and she was called in, and she asked me if I'd go, and I said, sure, that'd be cool. And we get into the place, and the couple that had lived there had been, and this is typical storytelling, because there seems to be a commonality in that, where an apartment, a house, in this case a townhouse, goes through tenants. It was a rental unit. It goes through tenants fairly quickly, and the landlord is kind of, what's going on here? I'm getting these tenants tell me it's haunted. Well, this particular townhouse was the woman that had lived in the house for many years had been moved into an old age home, and had passed in the old age home, and apparently had come back to what she perceived to be her home. And over a period, I can't remember, this is like 30 years, 40 years ago, she'd gone back to her townhouse and was disturbed because everything was different. So she would move pictures and things of this sort and make noise, again, at night, haunted. And it was kind of neat because when we walked into the place, I felt her right away. And we had no backstory. It was the landlord that had actually called Sandra. We had no backstory whatsoever. And I walked in and I felt the presence of a woman. Now, I have seen and felt ghosts, disincarnate souls, at other times in my life, but this one was, again, I'm so unfamiliar. I don't even know where I am. I'm just walking into a townhouse, and right away I felt her. And I'm not clairaudio. Some people can hear. I don't hear. I see, and I feel, and then the feeling is translated through the left hemisphere into words. And it became very quick that I acknowledged who she was. And the landlord is standing there, and he's quite fascinated because he knew the backstory, and he knew that this woman had lived in that house for many years and had moved to an old age home. And she was quite upset. And then Sandra, once I tuned into it and started to communicate to Sandra what I was feeling, Sandra could feel what was going on. And then through a ritual, about 20 minutes of smudging each room and talking about the light and sort of reassuring this energy system that it no longer needed to be confined within this townhouse, it moved on, or apparently it moved on. We weren't called back, so I'm trusting that whatever we did or whatever Sandra did actually helped. And then the other one I'll go into very quickly was very disturbing. It was through the police out in Wetaskiwin in Alberta, and we were called out to this house where there had been a double murder suicide, so 3 people, and we don't know anything. We weren't told anything. We just we follow the police car out. We come up to this fence, and they park inside the fence, and you can see this sort of ranch-style bungalow type thing, a few hundred yards down a lane, and there was stuff obviously thrown out. So you kind of, at first your brain's going, oh, people are cleaning it out, and there's just stuff all over the place. And I'm kind of, okay, I'm not comfortable. I don't feel comfortable. Neither Sandra, so we kind of take each other's hands and we're walking down this little road, down the lane, and honest to God, it was like I got punched in the stomach. It just hurt really, really hard. And it was really a violent energy field. And so we come back, and we're standing by the cars, and, sort of wondering what's going on here. And the cops are not really saying much at this point. And so we decide, okay, well, you do different things to protect yourself. And, it's like the Carlos Castaneda talked about the egg. You surround yourself in a white glow of energy like an egg. And in that, your affirmation is that you're protected. Well, that was all very nice and fine intellectually. But when we started to walk down the lane again, the egg didn't work very well. And it was as though I was being punched again. And And I looked at Sandra. I said, "No, I'm not doing this. I don't know what this is all about." So we walked back to the cars, and then the cops started to tell us what had happened, and it was this murder-suicide. And apparently, it had all started when the family of these people started to clean out the house. A telekinetic, which is the ability to move things with your mind, objects with your mind. Some ghosts, and I believe this to be true, can be very telepathic or telekinetic and can actually project their thoughts so strong, especially if there's anger and fear and hatred and all those really darker emotions. It's like they can suck that energy up and just make things happen around them. And I truly believe that house was one of those houses, and it was kind of, I never really believed in dark forces. The whole idea of Satan and dark energies and so on. I feel blessed that I've never really encountered one. But if there was a time when I encountered something that was very disruptive, very disturbed, that would be the time in my life where I went, wow, okay, there's stuff out there that I don't really want to play with. So I've tried to avoid that stuff.
You had an experience when you worked at Deer Lodge in Alberta. What was that?
I was just walking down a hall, and we lived in the old section of the hotel. It's kind of down a hallway, and then down a couple of stairs, and there's a window here, and then a little jut, and then down into the new section. So like you're talking maybe, walking at a normal pace, 3 or 4 steps down, maybe 30 seconds. Okay, so I'm kind of booting it. I'd gone up to my room to get something and going back to the front desk, and then booting around the corner, down the stairs, and I see this woman standing at the window, and I kind of deviate. Now, to me, she was just one of the guests, and I thought, well, she shouldn't really be there. And I turned, so we're talking seconds. I turn, look back at the window, she's not there. And I was like, whoa, that was weird. And I was young, like 19-ish. My whole progression into metaphysics and just the study of energy and energy fields and disincarnate souls and all this kind of stuff started really young, 14, 15. But as I got, and it's progressionary as you start to see things. If you want to be a sports star and you work real hard at becoming a sports star, inevitably, if you've got talent, you'll be a sports star. I think, opening up your brain to alternative realities is a discipline as well. You start to sensitize yourself. So by the time I was 19 or 20 at this hotel out in Alberta, I was 20, maybe 21, somewhere in there. So I had some life experience and certainly an awareness through energy that there were other things beyond just the physicalness that we all live in. And when I saw this ghost, this apparition, it was really strong. It was like it looked solid and yet was gone. And I went down to the front desk and I sort of, hey, I saw a ghost, blah, 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 blah. And one of the owners of the hotel said, describe, so I'm describing the energy that I'd seen, or the person that I had seen. And he took me upstairs. There was a small area up there that the owners of the hotel used as their kind of suite. And on the fireplace was a picture of what I just completely described. So I have a lot, I don't have a lot. I have some evidence. I love the term evidential faith, faith with evidence, meaning I experienced that. I wasn't on drugs. I wasn't drunk. I was walking down the stairs and there was this person. And, when I worked with Sandra, there was other times when I would, see and experience things that really in my brain started to build a belief structure that we, whatever we are in the energy that we are, is not simply confined to a physical structure. There's an energy field, and we're kind of interacting with that all the time. So yeah, I've seen I've seen a few ghosts, we'll say, and I think most people have. There was a study not so long ago in the States where there was a reference to 60% of the U.S. population believes in the ghost. Now, some of them believe in the Holy Ghost, but there's a lot of people that have some association with ghosts. And when you go back through history, there's always been a reference. Native American cultures, the ancestors, it's just always there. We're human, we're ghosts all at the same time.